I guess now I want to tell the story of how it came to pass that I quit drinking about 19 months ago. Uh, the real trigger of my uh, quitting drinking was I had in June of 2022, I got COVID and I got it bad and it turned into pneumonia and I went to the emergency room, spent 3 days there. The third day, I'd basically recovered from the pneumonia and they just wanted to keep me there for observation because one of the nasty things about COVID 19 is that some people, as they get better, their immune system attacks the organs in their body, their kidneys and their liver and so on. And they wanted to keep me there to watch out and make sure that wasn't happening. During that day that I was just waiting to be let go, I began thinking about drinking. And I thought, well, maybe this is the time to just quit drinking. I had noticed that uh, my sense of balance had deteriorated markedly starting at about 75, maybe. I was by then 83, and I had to be very careful not to fall. I'd had one real serious fall in when I was 78 or something like that, and I fell once uh, when we had company there. I went to go back to pee and I fell in the bathtub. I didn't hurt anything except my pride, but uh, I was just becoming very aware that my balance wasn't as good as it used to be and that alcohol interfered with my sense of balance. So I just decided there that I was just going to quit. I'd been drinking 2 glasses of wine with dinner just about every night. I would rarely have a third glass. It was mostly, I kept it to two and didn't have much trouble uh, strain with that. But in 2018, I had to go to the hospital with an atrial fibrillation. And in studying to myself what had triggered that, I I realized that just before I had it, I had been upset about a friend who was retiring and very upset with himself about retiring. And as a way that I reacted to that was in a 10-day period, I drank hard liquor 3 or 4 times, and I had, I don't know, but I do know it wasn't 6 drinks, but it was more than two. And so uh, then I went out one fine day and was mowing the lawn. And I'd recently been in Nicaragua where I was walking about 3 miles a day and I was feeling really buff. And I was mowing that lawn and I thought, I'm going to really get buff. And my lawn is on 3 levels. And I was jerking that lawnmower around out there for an hour straight. And pretty soon my chest started feeling warm, and I thought, wow, this is really something. Well, I went in the house, and my heart rate didn't go back down. And it took me about a week or 10 days to finally wake up one morning and say, we got to get some medical attention about this. And I went up there, and they immediately started treating me for my heart rate of over 200 beats a minute. And when I thought back about it, I realized I was stressing about this man retiring. It was upsetting me, and I was drinking more than I usually do, hard liquor, and then I pushed myself too hard with the lawnmower. So when I was thinking about quitting drinking, at that point, after the atrial fibrillation, I didn't after that do very much, if any, hard liquor. But when I was in June of 2022, reflecting back over the last few years, I thought, well, the alcohol had a role in the atrial fibrillation. I've fallen a few times. I've been hearing stories about that alcohol may not be all that good for you anyway, in large amounts especially. So I just quit. And to say what it's like to quit drinking when you're 83 years old, it wasn't that big a deal. There have been a few times when something frustrating has happened, and I've thought that toward the end of the day, I would really like to have a drink, but not so much. I've been surprised at how little I've missed it. And of course, I've got buoying me up the feeling that I'm doing something good for myself. So even at the reception 2 days ago for my dear friend, where there was everybody but me was having a drink, I didn't, and I didn't care. I also noticed when I quit drinking that I felt better in the morning. I have not been a person that's had many hangovers, except back in my 30s and maybe my early 40s when I did used to get drunk on occasion. Then I would get hangovers, but for years I haven't gotten drunk. And but even then, when I'd wake up in the morning, I didn't have what you'd call headaches. Maybe some people would, but I didn't. I'm not a person who takes aspirin or Advil. Uh, but when I quit drinking, my head felt better in the morning. I also felt that I had a little more energy. And people said, "Well, you sleep better." Well, maybe I did. I sleep pretty well. I slept pretty well then, and I still do now. Uh, but the quitting drinking, and I told myself and others, I aged out of alcohol. I don't regret having enjoyed drinking when I was younger. But as a tip to anybody who's watching this that's thinking about living into their 80s, I suggest you might think about the concept of we may age out of drinking at some point.